What's the difference between summer and every other season? Nothing. I'm still totally obsessed with fragrances in summer just as much as I am in every other season. There's something about wearing a fragrance in the super high heat, the burning heat, and the suffocating humidity that just creates a really wonderful experience and sometimes doesn't kill the people around you. These are my top 10 most worn summer fragrances of 2025. Hey guys, so yeah, this is my list of top 10 most worn fragrances in summer of 2025. I love wearing fragrances in every single season, not really one more than the other, but I gotta say, there's something about when that summer heat really hits your skin and makes those fresh fragrance notes come alive. The purpose of this video isn't really to introduce any new fragrances or really go in depth about the note breakdown or anything like that. This is just kind of a fun thing that I wanted to share with you guys. I'm here on my lunch hour, so I'm gonna have to pick up the pace a little bit here. Let's get started. Number 10 is Vetiver Patchouli by Montale. This one here is a fresh take on patchouli and vetiver. I absolutely love it. I think it's unique, but at the same time, there's a familiarity to this as well. The main notes are vetiver, patchouli, and carrot seed. The carrot note in this really adds a mineralic kind of watery characteristic in the beginning. I think it's really unique. It's fresh, but in a deep and mineralic way. It's a little bit interesting. Might sound kind of weird, but I'm telling you, man, it really works in this fragrance. The rest of the fragrance lifespan is honestly a little bit linear. There's nothing overly complicated about this, and I think that's one of the reasons why I absolutely love this one so much. There's a little bit of patchouli. The patchouli in this one is on the woody side. It's got maybe a little slight darkness to it, maybe an earthiness as well. Kind of reminds me of like leaves on the ground. Yeah, this one here also is great in the fall and the spring for that matter. I wear this a ton in every season except winter. I find it doesn't do great in the cold weather, but every other season, yeah, it's awesome. And summer is no different. So I've gotten a lot of use out of this masterpiece this past summer. Vetiver Patchouli by Montale. You gotta have an aromatic fougere on this list, and the one that I've worn the most this summer is Bon Monsieur by Rogue Perfumery. So this one has main notes of lavender, geranium, carnation, and of course oak moss. It's one of my favorite aromatic fougères. It smells a lot like Drakkar Noir. The spiciness in this one is a little bit deeper. The quality is much higher. The performance is better. It's just a more full, more interesting fragrance, but it still shares that classic aromatic fougere DNA with fragrances such as Drakkar Noir, like I've mentioned. So, this one here might not be most people's ideal choice for the summer weather because this does have a distinct spiciness to it. The aromatic lavender is quite noticeable. The spicy carnation is there as well. There's a mintiness from the geranium. I don't know. Somehow though, especially at night, this really works in the heat, just as well as it works in other seasons as well. But I find something about wearing this in the summer is professionally alluring. It's got really good performance and it is on the fresh side, or better said, it has a lot of fresh components among other components. Wearing this at night in the summer, though, projects a very sexy, mature, masculine vibe, whereas a lot of summer fragrances are citrus, aquatic-based. This has nothing to do with that, but at the same time, it still catches people's attention in a positive way, and for that reason, I think it's great. I've worn a ton of this over the summer, especially at night, but sometimes during the day, and yeah, it really works for me. I hope it works for you too. It's Bon Monsieur by Rogue Perfumery. Next up is Ege by Nishane. The main notes in this one are citruses, basil, violet leaf, and ambroxan. A very realistic aquatic fragrance. It smells like standing on a coastal cliff on the Mediterranean Sea. There are a lot of citruses in this. It kind of goes in the same vein as Acqua di Gio, the original, but with some differences. A lot of basil in this, which is going to give it a green, aromatic, kind of soapy characteristic, which I absolutely love. This one is a very clean smelling aquatic fragrance. A lot of fragrances, especially blue fragrances, go in that shower gel direction. This goes more into a classic soapy direction because of that basil. Also, there's some violet leaf, which kind of smells a little bit like cucumber. It gives a very fresh vegetable characteristic to this fragrance here. It is so nice, so refreshing, but it has a depth to it. It has great performance. Also, there's some salty ambroxan in the dry down, which is going to smell like that salty ocean breeze. All in all, this is such a refreshing fragrance. And given the fact that this does belong to the aquatic genre of fragrances, you would probably expect this to have poor performance. No. In this category, this is one of the strongest you can get. If you're a fan of things like Acqua di Gio, the original, and L'Odyssée by Issey Miyake, but you want something like with real good depth and performance, this is your best bet right here. This is just absolutely stunning in the high heat and humidity. It's Ege by Nishane. Next up is one of my favorite aquatic fragrances of all time. This is Ask by Maiora. The main notes in this one are pine, driftwood, ambroxan, and amberwood. So this one here is like a niche version of Invictus Aqua. This one here has that kind of piney yet woody characteristic. There's a lot of woodiness in this one with that aromatic camphoraceous pine, which I think in itself is an awesome combination. But this dries down with some salty ambroxan and some amberwood. So you get a little bit of that sweet, that aquatic kind of sweet woodiness that Invictus is famous for, but it's toned down in this. They've included just enough to make this a little bit sweet, a little bit interesting, a little bit deep, especially in the dry down. It works so amazingly because that top is a little bit biting, it's a little bit bracing with that greenness and the dry woodiness coming from that driftwood and pine. You might expect this to stay linear and sharp all the way through, but like I said, it really warms up and becomes a little bit softer and sweeter in the dry down without sacrificing on performance, because this, ladies and gentlemen, is a real performer. In the aquatic genre, this is absolutely one of the strongest you can get. It is one of my favorites. And I like it because it combines that yin and yang of mature classiness with a little bit of fun youthfulness as well. It's almost the perfect hot weather fragrance, and it's highly recommended by myself, albeit very, very under the radar. This stuff is difficult to find. I'm sorry. I wish the case were different. But yeah, if you ever happen to come across a bottle of Ask by Maiora, you should do yourself a favor and give it a shot. Next one is Acqua di Gio's Profondo. This is one of the original bottles, and the main notes in this one are citruses, aquatic notes, mastic, and amberwood. So this keeps a lot of the original Acqua di Gio DNA, but it adds a really mineralic, kind of earthy characteristic coming from the mastic. This also does something a little bit, it makes it a little bit more youthful and a little bit sweeter than the original because of its inclusion of that mastic and also some amberwood. This is so solid. It's one of, in my opinion, the best designer aquatic fragrances of all time. I do really like the original ADG DNA, but I feel like it's a little bit played out. It's been a little bit played out for a while. This one here changes that for me. It adds that interesting mineralic depth, and it also adds that sweetness on top of it while still maintaining that very characteristic ADG DNA. This stuff absolutely slaps in the high humidity and the high heat. It is just one of my favorite citrusy aquatics. It is amazing. If you still have a bottle of this in your collection, consider yourself very lucky. And yeah, I'm running a little bit low. I got half of my bottle left here. I'm going to try to conserve this as much as I can, but I went a little bit crazy with this one this past summer, I will admit. But anyway, I've done that because it's an amazing fragrance. Acqua di Gio Profondo. Next one up is Y Le Parfum 2025 by YSL. So the main notes in this one are pine, amberwood, geranium, and ginger. So you can tell this definitely smells like a lot of the other YSL Y members, but this one here lacks that overtly fruity note in the beginning that we get in EDP, for example. There's no apple in this. Instead, we go directly to that kind of floral, minty geranium and that sweet, kind of woody, aquatic amberwood dry down. The thing is, though, in this one, there's a big dose of pine, which is going to give it a very noticeable green, aromatic, camphoraceous, and also woody vibe. This is kind of like a more mature version of the EDP, which is one that I already love. But this one here, Le Parfum 2025, has basically taken all the characteristics that I absolutely love from the EDP and enhanced them. And it kind of turns down those characteristics from the EDP that I didn't like the big doses of sweetness that we get. We still get that sweetness in here, but it's toned down. And like I said, with those aromatic woody bits on top, this is just almost a perfect fragrance. It's absolutely, well, my second favorite from the line. The Elixir is my favorite. But for summer, especially at nighttime, I got a lot of use out of this one this past summer. I think it is equally mature and juvenile, youthful. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but yet it's smart. It's a smart smelling fragrance, but it also knows how to have a good time. If you love that original Y DNA, but you want something, first of all, a lot more bold than most of the members, and at the same time, a little bit less youthful and juvenile than most of the other members, this is absolutely your best bet. It's Le Parfum. And by the way, this has nothing to do with the original Le Parfum. They're totally different scents. This is the 2025 version, and it's way better than the other one. Next up is Hawas Black by Rasasi. So this one has main notes of amber, oak moss, and pineapple. So this one very clearly is inspired by Hawas by Nishane, but also I get a lot of similarities between this one and Absolute Aventus by Creed. This one here has that fresh, tangy pineapple opening. It dries down with a lot of oak moss, so it's very woody, maybe a little bit damp and aromatic. And I find there's also a little bit of smokiness coming from that oak moss with that amber, which is going to give it a slightly sweet vanillic feeling in the dry down. This stuff here smells like quality. It smells a little bit mature, but it has a softer side, a softer kind of sweet side because of that amber. If you like fragrances such as, like I said, Hawas, but more so Absolute Aventus, and you don't want to spend big bucks, just get this. It's an absolutely perfect alternative for the price, for the quality that you get, for the performance, and just the smell in general. Absolutely incredible bang for your buck fragrance here. It's probably my favorite from the Hawas line. It's amazing. I've worn a lot of this, as you can see here on the side of the bottle. It just smells so damn good. And as long as this exists, I could never in a million years imagine paying for a full bottle of Absolute Aventus or Hawas. This just totally replaces both of them for me. It's Hawas Black from Rasasi. Next one up is Kenzo Homme Eau de Toilette Intense. The main notes in this one are calypsone, black pepper, akigala wood, and sandalwood. In my opinion, this is the freshest of the Kenzo Homme line. It opens up with some black pepper and calypsone. So the black pepper is going to give it a little bit of spiciness, but also kind of a cooling sensation that I find is lacking in most other members of the line. Mixed with that characteristic salty watermelon coming from the calypsone. Very fresh, slightly spicy, and cooling opening. I absolutely love it. It's super refreshing. We get that characteristic sandalwood, which is quite spicy, but also smooth, a little bit creamy and woody. And that akigala wood, which is going to give it kind of like a spicy, dry, woody patchouli thing. Unmistakably Kenzo Homme fragrance, but in my opinion, like I said, it's kind of like the least tropical and the freshest, most kind of on the more Mediterranean aquatic side of all the members of this line. I absolutely love it. This is my high heat Kenzo Homme fragrance. Although I do wear the other ones in the summertime, there's just something about this one. There's a freshness to it that the other ones lack, in my opinion. I know this is a little bit of a controversial fragrance. A lot of people say that this has an off-putting opening. I don't find that at all. I find this to be extremely pleasant, and I've actually never had any negative feedback on this one. Everyone that I've ever shown it to seems to really like it, actually. But yeah, it is a Kenzo Homme, so because of that, automatically it's a step away from most other designer aquatics. It's a very unique scent profile. If you know, you know. This is my favorite aquatic designer fragrance line, and this is one of my favorites from that line. It's Eau de Toilette Intense. The second Montale on this list, it's Oudyssee. The main notes in this one are bergamot, pink pepper, patchouli, and aquatic notes. Very fruity, sweet bergamot in the opening here. That does retain a little bit of that biting, citrusy quality, mixed with the pink pepper, which is going to give it a little bit of a rosy floral. So it opens up citrusy, fruity, rosy. Not really what you would expect a lot of times when we're dealing with an aquatic fragrance. And this further dries down even more sweet and deep because of patchouli. It's a woody patchouli, but it's also earthy, and it's got a definite sweetness to the patchouli. But there are a lot of aquatic notes in this as well. Perhaps ambroxan. It smells quite salty. It reminds me of a sea breeze. This is a really unique aquatic fragrance. It's got sweet, it's got depth to it, it's got interesting florals, and because of that patchouli, it makes it a very unique aquatic experience that you just don't get every day. This does remind me of some other Montale offerings because of that rose patchouli mixture. It smells very oriental. It smells spicy, deep, a little bit sweet. There's also some olibanum in there, perhaps to give it like a light incensey feel, maybe in the background. This is so interesting, and it's not what you're going to be expecting if you've never smelled a Montale before. If you're looking for an aquatic fragrance, at first you might be totally put off by this because it really doesn't smell like anything else out there. Rather, it takes that kind of bold Middle Eastern Montale DNA and turns it into an aquatic version of that. So interesting, and it really works. This does have a heaviness to it, but it also has a really distinct freshness, which makes it so that you can wear this in hot weather. It still really works. It never goes cloying, but I especially like wearing this at nighttime in the hotter weather. It's an absolutely phenomenal fragrance. Absolutely one of the most underrated from the House of Montale. It's Oudyssee. And my number one most worn fragrance from summer 2025 is Bois Imperial Eau de Parfum by Essential Parfum. The main notes in this one are vetiver, akigalawood, and isoe super. So this is an extremely dry, woody fragrance. There is a little bit of a freshness to it, but there's also a complex maturity because of that vetiver. The vetiver is very green, very grassy, but it's extremely dry and maybe even a little bit smoky, which makes this perfect for hot, humid weather. This never has any sort of like dampness to it. There's absolutely no sweetness whatsoever in this fragrance, but there is a lot of woodiness. There's a warm woodiness coming from isoe super. It smells a little bit synthetic, maybe slightly metallic, but that only serves to enhance this appropriateness for hot weather. Also, the akigalawood is going to give it a really interesting kind of spicy, dry, woody patchouli characteristic, which is vaguely reminiscent to that interesting spicy note that the Kenzo Homme line is famous for. Same perfumers, by the way. So yeah, there are some slight parallels there between these fragrances. But this one here, man, dry, woody, mature, vetiver heavy. It's extremely good. There's a little bit of a freshness to it. I don't know how to explain this really. This is a very interesting and honestly kind of simplistic fragrance, but the smell is unlike anything else. Like I said, it could be kind of a little bit synthetic at certain points, sure, but it's a very likable scent, very different from most other fragrances, and it's enchanting, it's alluring, it's a real compliment getter, and it's extremely strong. As far as warmer weather fragrances go, this is absolutely one of the strongest to ever exist. Total beast mode performer. It's got this maturity to it. It reminds me of like wearing a tweed hat, a tweed suit. I don't know, some old Irish psychiatrist or something like that. I don't know. That's the image that pops into my head. But yeah, it's quite interesting. And if you're a fan of vetiver, woody fragrances with a little bit of, I don't know, warmth, but not sweetness, maybe even a little bit of smokiness, this is the one for you. But I gotta warn you, it's a bomb. Somehow it still works in the hot weather. It's Bois Imperial Eau de Parfum by Essential Parfums. Hey guys, I really appreciate you sticking around for this long. I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, it was just kind of something I threw together for fun. I've been wanting to share with you guys my most worn fragrances this past summer. So what are your guys' most worn fragrances of the summer? Again, depending on what part of the world you live in. Some people are just going into spring right now. But yeah, if you have just experienced a nice hot summer, tell me, what have your most frequently chosen fragrances been? I'm curious. Let's get the conversation started, guys. Hope to see you again soon. Until then, keep it real.